Hello there, welcome to my review of the Rockford Files Season 1, Episode 9, In Pursuit of Carol Thorne, written by Cannell and Huggins and directed by Charles S. Dubin. The episode begins at the California Penal Institute for Women as we see the eponymous Carol Thorne released and boarding a bus, followed by a man in a car. Carol is played by Lynette Metty, who makes a brief appearance in the first Columbo episode, Murder by the Book, as the reporter interviewing Ken Franklin at his home.
I think our readers will want to know how the death of your partner will affect the Mrs. Melville books.
I'm afraid when I buried Jim, I buried Mrs. Melville with him.
We soon discover that Jim is also on the bus, watching her, and when she gets off, the man in the car calls someone to tell them he thinks Jim isn't following her.
I don't know where Rockford is. He wasn't following the bus like you said. You sure he's on her?
While Jim calls Rocky.
I even told him I was a doctor.
Rocky, will you move it? I don't want to get caught without wheels. Now, it's the phone booth on the southeast corner.
At this stage, we have very little information about why all this is happening, in the way it's happening, but this is certainly a more intriguing way of presenting the story. Jim catches up with Carol at a restaurant, claiming to have been sitting in her booth previously, having left his wallet there.
When I got out to my car, I found out I didn't have my wallet, so I came back to see if maybe I dropped it on the floor or it wedged down in between the seat or something.
Leaving his wallet there as he pretends to look for it.
Hey, I think I found it.
Garner's ability to play this scene as earnestly as he does when we know he's lying through his teeth is quite something. His story is almost believable as he charms his way into Carol's affections. She tells him she's getting over a divorce, so neither of them are being honest, but at this point her lie seems more understandable, as she thinks she's being hit on and doesn't want him to know she's an ex-con.
I'm sort of out here recovering from a divorce.
Oh, I see.
It's a strange position to be in, where the hero is being more dishonest than the person he's investigating.
I'm a sports investment manager specializing in off-track arrangements.
A bookie.
I freelance a little.
Hey, you think you can help me pick out some winners?
When Jim goes to his hotel, he gets a visit from two cops who try to squeeze him to keep away from Carol.
She's no fashion photographer, ex-con. Got out of jail 2 days ago.
Guess we got more in common than I thought.
Okay, Rockford, you go near her again, you're going to have my foot in the back of your neck. Leave her alone.
The next day, we discover who his client is, the parents of a man Carol was dating, Clifford Hode, who has disappeared. But as soon as he's gone, we find out that they are also not who they claim to be and are conning him.
Dixie, you were never better. But you never want to push a mark like that.
On a date with Carol, Jim tells her about his visit from the cops, and she is ready to split, but he convinces her to stay, and she says that she was framed. After their date, she does split, and he follows her. She spots him, though, and corners him at gunpoint, wanting some answers.
I'm working for Jonathan Hode. The Hodes feel that you know where their son Cliff is, and they want me to find him before Mrs. Hode has to have her operation.
And she reveals who he's really working for.
Did your Mr. Hode have gray hair with a little red in it?
Yeah.
Cliff's father is fat and bald. You're working for Miles Keeley.
He's a crook that robbed a payroll with Clifford Hode and two others. But through a fluke, Clifford is the one that got away with all the money. Carol helped Clifford launder the money, and Miles wants her to reveal Clifford's location so that he can get his share. I love that they've managed to get to around the halfway point of this episode without actually revealing any of what is going on, or what is true and what isn't. We've had snippets of the truth here and there, but mixed in with so much chicanery that it was impossible to know what's true and what isn't. We still don't know how much of what Carol is saying is true, We do know that he is now at least being honest with her, though. They agree to work together, but he doesn't completely trust her. As he goes to her motel room to pick up her stuff, he runs into the fake cop and Keely, working together, who hold him at gunpoint. Now he's fully informed about the situation, he's able to use this to his advantage and manages to con them instead and gets away. A car chase ensues, but they don't know who they're dealing with, and he manages to not only give them the slip, but have time to pick up Carol on the way. Keely isn't done yet, though, as he pulls a con on the local cops to make them believe he's Rockford and Jim has stolen his car and his ID.
I'm suffering from hypersedric aneurysms, and my medicine is in the glove compartment of the stolen car. If I might make a suggestion, maybe I could ride with you. That way, when you get the call, I could get to my car and medicine quicker.
It's not long before a patrol pulls over Jim and Carol, with Keely not far behind.
Jim, it's my son. Damn it, son. How many times have I told you not to take the car without asking?
With the cops gone, Carol tries to con Keely, but Jim manages to cut himself in anyway, and they all head to Cliff's location. The four of them catch up with Cliff, but Cliff refuses to deal Rockford in. Jim tells Cliff the statute of limitations is up and the cops are no longer looking for him, despite what Carol and the others have tried to convince him of. Keely pulls a gun and tries to cut Cliff out. Unable to find the cash, they have to work with Cliff again to find it, and he takes them to where he buried the money. After a couple of hours of hiking, it's revealed that the none too bright Cliff buried the money in a valley that has since been flooded to make a reservoir. Sometime later, Rockford returns to Cliff's in his car, revealing that the money was actually hidden in Cliff's car the whole time, and he brokered a deal with the FBI to return it. Not for the 10% they thought they were going to get, but only 1%, $5,000 each. When Rockford finally gets home, Carol is there waiting for him with a gun and demands his half. He calls her bluff, but she points out some of the bets she made with him while he was pretending to be a bookie have come in. So he really does owe her $3,000, which he reluctantly pays.
You owe me $3,000. I've got it all worked out for you.
This is a really fun episode. The various different little cons that every character is running means that you never really know what's going on or who is telling the truth at any given point, but it's done in such a charming and light-hearted way that it's never frustrating. Each con is perfectly believable until it's revealed to be a con, and in some ways shows exactly how well cons can work. Perhaps the made-up condition that Keely tells the cop he has is a little too much, but that's really the thinnest credulity is stretched, and honestly, in a pre-internet age, it's still perfectly conceivable that it would work. The cast is great. Metty in particular is a perfect sparring partner and love interest for Rockford, able to show vulnerability when she thinks he's just a regular guy, and cunning when she's attempting to get what she wants from him. In some ways, the story sets her up as being justified in her contempt for Rockford, as I pointed out earlier.
You may have fooled Miles with that reservoir gag, but not me, because I know what a low-down liar you are, and Miles doesn't.
As the reason for her initial lie to him is somewhat justified. But by the end of this, contempt is shown to be more of a defense mechanism, as she agrees to go on another date with him.
You're really hard on a man's ego.
Take me to dinner, and I'll fix that.
It's a shame that Metty never returned to the show, unlike many of the other romantic leads, as she has a real spark with Garner. I really enjoyed the light-hearted tone of the episode and the way they mix the detective elements with the confidence trick elements. For me, this is an easy 5 out of 5. Thank you. Goodbye.